As soon as the rates drop, we're moving into an election year. The rates are going to drop for a little bit. Take advantage of that, capitalize on it, refi. If you can do that, if you can have that conversation with buyers as they register, you're going to get more real information because people want to hear that kind of thing. They don't know any different. Alrighty, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Weekly Chime. We have Chris here with us from Chime, and today we are talking about first-time home buyers, how to get in front of them, and then more importantly, how to stay in front of them. Chris, welcome back. We have you a lot. I like this.
Yeah, I enjoy coming to talk to you guys. So yeah, thank you for having me. I tried to make a nice view for you guys today.
Yeah.
This is our office. This is downtown Phoenix, Central Avenue, which runs straight through the heart of our city, and it's beautiful out today. So hopefully you guys enjoy the view.
Before we started this, Chris and I were talking. I was actually going to turn my camera around and let everybody see how much snow we're getting up here. But instead we decided, we could have done we should have done that. I should have my background as like all the snow, and it could be the comparison between the two.
Right.
But we'll do that. We'll remember that next time. The next time Phoenix has amazing weather. My weather is always going to be snowy. So
we'll be this way for the next 6 months.
Nice. Chris, what do you have to talk to us about today? Because it's funny because you do so much. You're the digital marketing manager at Chime, and so as the digital marketing manager, you see a lot of trends. And one of the trends we see a lot of is first-time homebuyers, right?
Yes, I do. And so running marketing for a lot of our clients, we get asked about renters a lot, and Google campaigns, how to exclude renters. Traditionally in the past, a majority of clients ask us to exclude keywords for renters, even turn off the renters in the AI conversations. Today, I want to talk about taking an optimistic view at opportunities for those renters or first-time home buyers, or really, honestly, anybody who registers in your system today with market conditions.
Sure.
So taking a look at market conditions, we compare, who was looking at buying in January last year and who's looking at buying today. We've taken a big assessment here as the marketing team, and that audience is more than cut in half. So we're going to see cost per leads go up because the amount of people, say here in Phoenix, 4 million people, 5 million people, now half of the audience that was looking to buy isn't looking anymore based on they were used to a 3%, right? 4%.
Right.
And we're now seeing people with great credit close at 7.5%.
Exactly.
So conditions are much, much different. So, really to talk about the opportunities with renters is I'll tell a little story here, and I did the same thing with my team. And so we did the math on the, what it is to rent in Phoenix and what it is to buy, right? And so I sat my team down, I asked them all rent. I'm not going to use any names, right? And one of my team members told me they're paying $3,300 a month in rent here in Phoenix, right? And which is any large city right now, you're paying a huge chunk of money just for rent. What are you getting out of that? Nothing almost. You get a nice place to live, usually a nice clean kitchen that's brand new in these new places, things like that. But long term of it, your money is going in someone else's pocket. So regardless of interest rate, you're not gaining any equity. So that's the big thing. And so my point today is sit down with those renters and do the math, because I did it with my team. And so we broke down what it would be to get into a $400,000 home. And when I did this conversation, it was about 5.5%. Well, we found that same person paying $3,300 on the team could pay about $2,500 and get into
Plus
a
tax
home.
Benefits.
Yep. And if there was a buyer program here for buyer assistance, they could get right into that home, and they're now paying equity in their own property. They get tax benefits, and maybe they have homeowners insurance and things like that. That's a part of it. But at the end of the day, they're putting their money into their own future still. So when I think about renters, I think of opportunities. And maybe that's just my view of looking at any way to wiggle in as a salesperson. Is look at the opportunities. So ask yourself, are you putting a roadblock in front? Are you saying, I don't want renters? Are you saying, I don't want to do this? Because when I did this with my team, I just had one person on my team buy a home with their husband, right? And the rest of my team's still looking, even at 7.5%.
Right.
And they're looking at different programs because we've had these conversations. We've talked about the value in buy downs and things like that can work in their favor still in this market. So remember, renters, ask yourself this question on the other side is, do any renters want to rent forever? I mean, that's a big question.
There are some that do because they don't want home ownership, but it's funny that you bring this up. So people don't know this. I have a bunch of rentals. Do you know who my number one clients are? My renters. People that, because they don't want to rent forever.
Yep.
So you do get the occasional person that's like, I never, ever, ever want to own a home. Good for them. But most people want to own a home. It's the American dream. That's what people want to do. And so even at this interest rate, you're talking the same thing. This is funny that you're talking about this. We just ran ads, like actual paper flyers, paper postcards to renters specifically that basically broke down the math for them. That basically said, if you're spending this much on rent, even with our current interest rates, here is what you're capable of buying. And that did phenomenally well. So I think a lot of people do exclude renters, and I don't think that people should be excluding renters. I think that's actually a really great source. But a lot of agents don't want to work first-time home buyers either, which is a huge mistake. You get in front of them once, and guess what you got to do for the rest of your career? You stay in front of them over and over and over again. First-time home buyer is never going to stay in their house. Well, I don't want to say never, but usually they don't stay in their house forever. They want to.
And you probably have the average on that. It's what, probably like 7 years? 5 years?
Yeah, in the areas that we work, it's usually 4 to 6 years. Yep. So if you stay in front of them, you get in front of them once, you give them a great experience, you stay in front of them for 4 to 6 years, guess what? Now they're going to turn around and use you again. And then they're going to use both you again.
This time.
Exactly.
Seller and buyer commission. So, I mean, it's a win-win on the long term.
Right. The ROI is huge on it. It's huge. And people don't understand that if you can help a first-time home buyer get in and feel welcomed into home ownership, they're going to want to stick with you forever. So I think that's one of the most loyal groups of buyers you can work with.
Yeah. And you really are, you're teaching them how to become a homeowner and invest in their future. You know, and they may not realize they've been paying this rent and can just transition over to buying. And maybe you give them a 6-month plan to save 3.5%. 8-month plan to save 3.5%. Right now, it's a perfect idea because in 6 months from now, we're going to have a different market. You know, average days on market right now is, I heard, about 3 months. Once that gets to about 6 months, we may see another big shift and change. We're already seeing homes drop in price, even though the interest rate's gone up. I watch my own value just because of that all the time, right? Yeah. But yeah, there's a huge opportunity there. So really it's, you know, look at that first-time home buyer and that renter as an opportunity, not an obstacle. And if you're giving yourself an obstacle, like sort of excuse, remember that that's a centered obstacle and that there's a huge opportunity there still. So you have to make that choice, you know. And
the agents that aren't going after those people, guess what? Somebody else is.
There's at least 15 other people. Business. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing that I shine is, you know, our info sold on average statistically 14 times after we register somewhere, you know? So remember, if you turn me down and I'm a renter, there's 13 other people in line real quick. And I get calls still on my cell phone asking about my property to sell it. And if I'm looking to buy all the time. So remember, if you don't do the due diligence, someone's going to get across and give me that value. So that's the biggest thing too, is shine that value to that audience, share with them buyer programs, even how long they can save, the 6 to 9 month long road, become that person, because in 6 to 9 months, they're going to come to you again. They're not just going to leave you if you give them all that value. So if you stay top of mind, you nurture them through process, you may have yourself a whole bucket of new people that are doing business with you.
And it's funny, Chris, because I keep going back to the agents that don't want to work first-time home buyers. Oh, I don't want to work in that budget. I don't want to work in that price point. I hear that all the time. They only want to work the move-up buyer. Well, how do you get in front of a move-up buyer? You want to know the easiest way? Be the one that sold them their first house. Be that one.
Yeah.
Now you have this client that just keeps going with you. And if you welcome them into home ownership, if you welcome them into the process, teach them to be the buyer you want them to be, you'd be shocked if you lead with education and just teach. That person now goes to their friends and is like, yeah, man, this was way easy. Oh, really? Who did you use? Oh, I used Chris. Guess what happens now? All of their friends, when they're standing around at their barbecue and they're talking, they're going to be talking to their friends about how easy it was to work with you. Now, all their friends who are probably also renters, even if they're not, even if they're now a move-up buyer, guess what? Now they're going to want to work with you because you made it so easy. It's all about those little positive megaphones running around, screaming your name.
Yeah, and that goes right into referrals. You guys all know better than I do that referrals are a huge part of your business. So, yep. You do that and you create this life memory for somebody to move into their first home. The referrals will come in, and that it's a cyclical environment. It all makes sense with each other once you see the opportunities in it and stop putting the roadblocks in place.
Agreed.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, with people that register today, we talked about the audience being less, right? There's people like me, as a buyer, I'm seeing the roadblock at 7.5%. I'm not registering on websites right now, but there are people that are still registering. Well, those people are coming into it with the mindset they know the percentage is high. So you have to treat people that register today at even more importantly than you ever have when they come into your website and register. Because again, your information sold really quickly and they could be getting value from someone else. But not only that, they know what they're getting into. They know they're coming into a 7+% market. So they don't have that roadblock mentality like I myself do. So we have to understand that the people that register today, they're ready for it. Right. And traditionally, last 20 years, this probably better than me, was the interest rate over the last 20 years on average, around 6.5%, I heard recently.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're not that far off base, and people still need homes. It's not going away. People still need food, drink, shelter, so.
Well, it's funny that you touch on that too. My first house that I bought, 11.2%. I had to look it up because someone with 11.2%. And it wasn't a cheap house. Let's put it that way. That stung for a while. But here's the thing that I see right now. There's multiple opportunities that come out of this. Okay. So one, who is it a really great time for right now? As prices start coming down, right? As it becomes a little easier to buy, who's it a great time for? Cash buyers, because they're not impacted at all by interest rates. So where in Phoenix, we'll use Phoenix as a great example. You get people from Southern California. They're like, screw this. I can sell my house here and buy what in Phoenix? Cash. Done. So we see a ton of cash transactions happening right now. As far as an educational standpoint, we come back to the educational standpoint. If you have people registering on your website, even if you don't have people registering on your website, start leading the charge. You marry the price, you date the rate. You can always refinance at a later time. Get into that house, even if it's a higher percentage. As soon as the rates drop, we're moving into an election year. The rates are going to drop for a little bit. Take advantage of that. Capitalize on it. Refi. If you can do that, if you can have that conversation with buyers as they register, you're going to get more real information because people want to hear that kind of thing. They don't know any different.
And that's why we refi, right? Like someone stayed top of mind with me. I got a postcard. Someone stayed top of mind with me when it was 278. And sorry to share that number. I know a lot of people got it, but I went down from 325 to 278 and shortened my term. And that's a possibility in the future. If you're closing at 7.5% and that drops in a year from now to 5%, you definitely can go and refinance, and you can roll the closing charges into your loan, or you can out of pocket the closing charges. And a lot of people don't realize that too. Like I didn't know that prior, that I could roll my closing costs right in. And for me, it made sense because it wasn't a very big cost and I didn't want to out of pocket it. Easy to do, so.
And that's the kind of conversation that people need to be having. Like, hey, if you're getting in at 7% right now, guess what? Guess what direction it goes from here? It will end up going back down. It's always cyclical. It's always cyclical. So it's all about that conversation. And guess who those people that should be having that conversation? Renters. Renters should be having that. You should be having that conversation with a renter right now. Like, hey, Unlike your rent, which is only going to continue going up. At this point, it stays fixed. And in the future, when the rates come back down, your interest rate, you can refi back down.
And you drop a point, and that could mean $400 a month,
Exactly.
$500 a month, $600
Exactly.
a month, depending on how much your loan was for. I mean, that's a huge amount per month that you'll then be able to save. And the math that they don't do is when you do that percentage math, just 1 point on 30 years on how much interest you're paying, 1 point's a lot. 2 points is a lot. So just educate them, like Brett's saying, educate them completely on they can get in now still, even if it's 6 months from now, and they can always refinance, and be that educator also on the refinancing and how to stay top of mind. Not only that, create a smart plan for yourself that follows up with everyone who closes over 6.5%. And that way you stay top of mind over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years as interest rates, and you can make sure and have that conversation with them and help them refinance. Then you're getting the win again.
And here's the really great part about that. So Chris, by the way, love that idea. Anybody over 6% should be on a smart plan. That is brilliant. Tag everyone that's over 6%, put them on a smart plan, remind yourself to follow up with them, put a task in there to do that. Here's where I would even go one step further with that. When the rates do come back down, that's now when you have that conversation with your lender, your preferred lender, or if you don't have a preferred lender at that point, that's when you go try to find a lender that you can reach out to and be like, hey, look, I'm going to be sending you a bunch of business. What can I get in return? Now, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different webinar that we're going to do on how to leverage your lender without actually having them pay for stuff. We're going to do that one day. But that's a great way to show value to your lender. You know, hey, look, I've got 40 clients that all bought over 6%. Our rates just dropped to 4% again. Let's do something with this. Let's increase your numbers. Let's see if we can work together on that.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, so that's what I had pretty much for that opportunities conversation. I mean, next I wanted to talk about, marketing, and you kind of touched base on it, but where do you go from here? We're at October 26th. We're in the thick of e-com marketing. It's already started. I'm getting ads left and right for different things online. And so, on social that the cost is going to go up because that's a shared environment.
Correct.
In Google, we use keywords. Us here at Chime, we use more mid-tail and long-tail keywords like homes for sale in downtown Phoenix, homes for sale in Arcadia. It's a longer phrase, but you don't compete with holiday in that aspect. People are out there searching. Because that search volume has gone down, yes, your cost per lead might have gone up a little bit, but the whole goal here is you don't need to stop marketing. You need to continue it, because what happens if you stop marketing is everyone else continues, you lose the top of mind positioning and they start going to somebody else. So there's tricks to it. Shift your cold acquisition on social primarily into more Google PPC, and we can help you set up retargeting and even re-engagement campaigns on social. The thing is with social is when you create a retargeting campaign, and let's say it's all your landing page viewers that come into your website that don't register, and or your social engagers, and we build you an audience like that. Let's say there's 2,000 people in that. Well, we're going after a 2,000 person audience versus a cold acquisition 4 million audience that Zillow's going after and everybody. So it makes it cheaper for you, right? And more targeted to those people who've already been to your website, who've already been to your Facebook page, but maybe they didn't register on your website, right? So we can help you with those audiences.
Can you do me a favor? And you and I, we've chatted on a few of these, and I want you to cover one thing for me that I preach. Basically, I should start my own Chime church here at some point. I preach so much about this. Can you do me a favor and touch on D.A.R.E ads for me?
Yeah, the dynamic.
It is the coolest freaking thing in the world. If you do not have this on your Chime site, if you're like, what is the one thing I need on my Chime site? What Chris is about to say, listen, and then call him.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about retargeting. It goes right with it. So cold acquisition, we can do D.A.R.E ads, but in retargeting, the reason you want these is you guys have all added to cart at Target, right? And you guys have all seen an ad scroll up that has that same exact item. That's what our dynamic ads for real estate are. is when we create this retargeting audience that's been to your website and they click on a property, if I make a catalog for you out of those properties and that property's in there, the next time they see your ad, they'll see that property first. Because
it's the Amazon
data
effect.
Yep. It's exactly what Amazon's doing. It's what Target's doing, Best Buy. And we're setting that up now for our clients. And that's what we brought. That's what our DMA team has really brought to the table here, is setting up this more funnel strategy using the dynamic ads. So use that with that audience, that retargeting audience, and we'll build you the dynamic ads using retargeting. So it's your landing page viewers and social followers that haven't registered. When they go and click around, the next ad they see with that dynamic, with those properties, and they're scrolling through carousels, will be properties that they've either been to or that match their search criteria. And that's how they work. It's powerful. You guys all know it works because you guys get ads immediately for other things that you shop for.
You ever heard of this thing called Wine and Prime? It's when you drink a lot of wine and then you shop on Amazon Prime. It's kind of the same effect. you hit people where they are, right? So they're on your site, they're browsing around, then they go hop on Facebook, Instagram, and all of a sudden they're seeing the houses that they looked at on your site coming back in front of them. And
immediately.
You can take this however you want, but a lot of people look at that as like, oh my God, this was meant to be. And so that's when you get people reaching back out to you. Or in my case, if you start putting stuff in front of me, like, I don't know, computers and knives and lights and stuff like that, I'm going to buy after I've had a couple of drinks. So,
and it happens.
It works. So what I would tell you, what we do. Okay. So I like the advertising aspect of, hey, mid-tail, long-tail keywords, beating that holiday traffic. What we do this time of year, this is our time, probably for the next week or two. There's some time left. We run our reactivation smart plan is what we do. And it basically goes to our database of buyers and it puts ourselves back in front of them a couple of different ways. And then it basically hits them where they need to be hit. We start teeing up for next year and we try to close out Q4 as strong as we can. That's what we use our reactivation smart plan for. And if people want more information, they can reach out to me.
I'm going to give you guys an example too, real quick. I looked for it real fast, right? Yeah. I just bought a mattress. Been looking up mid-century modern furniture. One of my ads.
Right. Yep.
It's for a green mattress, avocado green brands. All the furniture, and it's kind of mid-century. And social media, the way that these things work is really smart. And this is the way our D.A.R.E ads work. It's the exact same method.
The D.A.R.E ads are amazing.
To go on your re-engagement too, on your smart plans, that's another level. So if you guys have over 2,000 leads in your system, and I say 2,000, Facebook's minimum is 1,000 to create an audience using a CSV list. I say 2,000 because Facebook's going to go and hash that list and verify the users that are on social. So when we upload your CRM list, which we have access to when we create re-engagement ads, we use name, zip code, city, email, and phone. And it goes through and matches the audience to the users in Facebook and Instagram and says, now out of 2,000 people, we have about 1,200 that we can market to. So as long as you have a 2,000 minimum CRM list, and if you don't have that, we can still talk other options. But as long as you have 2,000 minimum, we can upload your CRM list and make an exclusive re-engagement campaign where we create ad copy using the D.A.R.E ads. Same thing. I love using those D.A.R.E ads for re-engagement also. That says something about, the changing conditions, new properties hit the market every single day. Make sure that you're checking out our site every day to look at those said properties, whatever that copy is that we create with you, and it will send them to your website to re-engage. And we're doing this with a lot of our top clients right now for re-engagement ads. And we're seeing the traffic on their websites go through the roof because we're now re-engaging their audiences back to their site to use their tools, not someone else's. Right.
And what I love about bringing people back to the site, this is my big thing. A lot of people will get a database full of people and they'll follow up a little bit with them and then they'll kind of let follow up kind of go away. The thing when you bring people back to your site, if you have D.A.R.E ads running, guess what? When they come back to your site and they search around a little bit, they're going to be re-engaged with you again. When you bring people back to your site, it's more opportunities for them to get to know you, like you, and trust you. If you can do that, if you can get people back to your site, that should be your primary goal. I see people that send out newsletters and they send out all this other stuff. It's fluff. Get people back to your site. That is where the magic happens if you can get people back onto your site.
Yep. I call that digital rapport. Honestly,
Yeah.
before they meet you, that's what they have. That's your resume as your website as a business owner, regardless if you're in real estate or not. That's your resume, and you're sending a cold audience there. That's digital rapport. So the more value you have on your site, you need buyer incentive pages. You need seller tricks and tips pages. If you don't have those, you need any information you can provide as much as you can, right? Don't give away the farm. And then good calls to action on those pages that say, hey, schedule a free call with me today so we can go over these programs and see how it works for you. And if you speak to them in that way, you'll build that digital rapport by providing value. And then eventually they reach out to you and you can make contact. Because to me, that's the biggest conversion metric, is making contact. That's the first step.
Well, they want to talk to you at that point because they already trust you. You've provided enough content that they see that time spent with you is going to be valuable to them. So what do you get in return? You get real phone number, you get a real email address, and they really want to talk to you. And if you can take that and capitalize on that, now that's how you build trust with people. Give them enough that they realize, oh man, this guy's really knowledgeable on this subject. Then they reach out to you. Now they want more. Now they want to have that conversation with you. When the right house for them pops up, who do you think they're going to talk to? The person that has led them through the journey, which is how we tie back into first-time homebuyers.
Yeah, great.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah, great point there. So, but yeah, and there's a ton of people doing the remarketing and stuff on our system now. I know that we have guys like, I see Adam Frank in the room, and Adam's been doing this and screaming this to everyone he works with. Right? Use those D.A.R.E ads. He does it himself. We do it. So whether you're using us or someone else, they're powerful. Use those D.A.R.E ads. And the smart plan, same thing. I import a lot of smart plans for clients and help them, try and teach them how they work. I know Adam Frank does this for his clients. He builds smart plans and builds dynamic systems. So take that as, you need to look at, if you're not doing smart plans, you need to do something to make sure that you are, because that's how you stay top of mind. That's how you be that reminder to people that you're there to help them.
And if people want, I do have my reactivation smart plan that I run. Like I said, it's out there. If people want that, I can put a link to it or whatever. I do those as well. And that's something that same stuff we run to all of our clients. And we've done the math on it. We've done the math and checked on it and made sure that it actually works. So,
yeah. And great point by Adam here again, right? Basically a D.A.R.E ad is a property alert digitally through an ad. It really is. It's a property alert. It's sending them properties they're familiar with or similar to. And in our coding that we send back to Facebook, we send back server coding, which is going to be a pretty big requirement from Facebook over the next year. Once cookies go away, we send back price tier, we send back location. In those, so as people are clicking on your site, we give the Facebook an ID back with the price tiering, location tiering, and it matches to their user profile. So it knows what ads to serve next, what properties to serve next out of your catalog. That's how that works. So we're sending that data back, and it's able to generate those campaigns to be smarter, so that they are like a shopping ad, just like a Target. And that's what those other big companies are doing. So huge thing there. And thank you, Adam, for those side points, because it really is strong. It's a very powerful tool. I do want to mention, we are creating a holiday special coming up, just like we always do for running ads. It's coming out. So just keep that in mind and look out for it, because we will have a CRM pop up with some information regarding a holiday special for you guys running ads. And we'll be able to talk to you about other tricks and tips. Besides retargeting and re-engagement, I want to mention something else we've done real quick. That same CRM list, that same CSV list that we're updating and putting into the Facebook engine and Instagram engine, right? Another trick we can do is what's called a reach campaign. And reach traditionally in Facebook and Instagram is the cheapest form of a campaign. You can still have a call to action. You can still have a URL, but the best part about it is you can deliver information cheaply to that audience. So you can create a reach campaign talking about your first-time buyer programs, your renters, and send that out to your entire audience. Are you still renting or know somebody that rents?
Right.
Click on this link to find out more about our first-time buyer programs, loan programs, incentives in my area, and have a landing page ready for that. And we'll build you the campaign. You give us a landing page, we'll build you the reach campaign. You know what's good about these campaigns? You can throw $100 at it. It lasts 2 months. And it can be a video of you talking about this incentives. It could be slideshows about this incentives. But what it is you're delivering it to this audience that's already in your system, and you're educating them at a lower cost than a regular lead generation campaign, because it's just an information delivery. That's all it is. It's information delivery. And you know who else does these type of campaigns? Target, Best Buy, Walmart. And through the holidays, the types of campaigns they run are reach campaigns. And I know this because they had what's called reach and frequency campaigns for large box accounts when I worked at Facebook. And reach and frequency campaigns started around $100,000.
Yeah.
And these companies are doing this in large scale using these reach tactics. We can do that at a small scale with our clients, uploading that same CRM list. So just come to us, and if you have that extra little $50 to $100 on top of your normal acquisition budget, just discuss with us on ways that we can deliver that information in your area, and we'll set those up for you.
I want to touch on one thing before we get out of here. We are moving into kind of a different market, and you're going to see a lot of people in your area start pulling back a little bit. And this is really the market where I started truly building my business. My business took off in a market just like this. And because what was happening while everybody else was backing off the accelerator pedal and just kind of taking it like, ooh, let's just see what happens here, I went full bore and I took that accelerator and just slammed it to the ground. Instead of backing off on my advertising, I doubled down. And I did that because real estate is cyclical. So if now, while everybody else is kind of pulling their foot off and just kind of letting it coast to see what happens, I was putting my foot down, and I'm doing that now. With my wife's team, she, instead of taking her foot off, she's slamming it down on the floor to see what happens. Now, the truth is, what's going to happen 6 to 8 months from now, when everything kind of starts spinning back up, where does that position us? Where everybody else wanted to be. And they'll be thinking about spending money and doing those things then. It's too late.
And where does
then.
that position everyone else who backed off the pedal? That's
behind us.
Exactly.
way behind us.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing that we talk about with our team all the time is anyone who pulls back through the holidays, you're dropping from top of mind.
Yeah.
And anyone who puts the pedal down. Yeah.
This is the time when we're looking at this is when agents back off.
And this is when more people are looking at this for deals right now than ever in any other time of year. They're looking at their phone because they're getting coupons and they're getting deals for holidays. They're looking for gifts. And if you back off that, you just trickle out of that environment.
Exactly.
So
it's exactly it. Chris, it's funny because I didn't think we were going to get a ton of viewers on this because we put first-time home buyer. We delivered more content in this than I think we've delivered in a whole lot of these. I hope people take advantage. I hope people watch this, even though it says first-time home buyer in there. I know a lot of people don't like first-time home buyers, but the truth is, if you educate and you treat them well, you have lifetime clients, and these clients still produce. I love first-time home buyers. Chris, dude, you and I have to do more of these. The marketing aspect that you can bring, and then couple that with some of my experience, like we could have a lot of fun on these.
That's the one thing I can't speak to. That's why I love talking to you guys. I'm not a real estate agent, but I have worked in a sales and marketing environment my entire life. So I understand, the nurture and pipelines and the whole aspect of how to be that sales professional. But yeah, that's why I love talking to you guys is, you guys can tie it together with the conversation and show how it really can be powerful for all these agents out there.
Exactly. Well, I want you to do me a huge favor and enjoy that Phoenix weather. I'm going to go shovel snow off my car now. And I I hope you guys will join us next week. I think next week we have Adam joining us. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So Chris, thank you again for being here. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you.